Happy Easter and welcome to Windsor on Maundy Thursday, the Thursday before Easter, and there was no Queen here today.
There's no Queen, but we're here and it's lovely and sunny actually.
It's always a pleasure to be in Windsor. So sorry we missed out last week, didn't we? We had to skip it because I wasn't here.
You were on holiday
and
last week.
Not a lot happened either.
And it was quite quiet. We're into the Easter period. The Royals tend to go a little bit quiet around this period, like the Cambridges.
Well, you say that up until Holy Week, when actually it's meant to be quite busy particularly for the Queen with Maundy Thursday and everything else. But she's now cancelled today and cancelled Sunday.
Cancelled Sunday as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of says a lot, doesn't it? There's the Queen who's living in her apartments just up there. In fact, if we look hard enough, we might just be able to see the Royals. No, I can't quite see it from here, but the Royal Standard flying. That's where the Queen is. St George's Chapel is 400 yards away from where she lives, and she's been unable to make today. And they've just told us that she's not expected to attend the Easter Matin service on Sunday.
So today's service, Maundy service, we found out actually about that last week, that she wasn't going to attend, and it's sort of our understanding that they wanted to get the order of service printed, they wanted to let recipients know what was happening, make them aware, and they wanted to prevent any sort of confusion or misunderstanding with any announcements on the day.
Don't turn up here expecting to see the Queen.
And I think they just wanted to make people aware in advance what was happening and not to expect her. And that very much fits in with this picture of her her attendance at events coming. A confirmation of that coming quite late in the day. If you think back to the Duke of Edinburgh's service of Thanksgiving, that was only 2.5 hours out before that service that we had confirmation that she was definitely going to be there. You know, we know she has good days and bad days. This is around issues of mobility.
And she, because of the issues with mobility, she decided to hold onto somebody's arm, which was quite a controversial decision.
Yeah.
Prince Andrew, in case you forgot. Whatever way you read it, none of these decisions are taken lightly, but whatever way you read it, it kind of suggests that the issues with mobility are very serious. The fact she's even pulling out of events literally in her backyard.
Yeah, I think, we have seen her do very limited in-person engagements this year. She did stuff around the accession day, and actually we both said how well she looked at that Sandringham House engagement, but she didn't do the Commonwealth Day service in March, and then the service of Thanksgiving for the Duke we only found out a couple of hours in advance.
And then there was that sort of event at the Royal London this week, which is by video call, and not video call because of COVID, but video call actually because of her mobility issues. I mean, that is the change, and we'll talk about that shortly, about how her diary will kind of be permanently changed now to reflect her age. And actually it's Thursday today. Next Thursday, on the 21st of April, she's going to be 96.
Which, if you think about, she is 96 and
Let's remind ourselves she's 96,
doing public duties. And you look at her on that video call this week, and you just have to think it is pretty remarkable that she is still carrying out duties. And as you get older, there will be issues in hers and mobility issues, and I think, as you say, we'll see that reflected in her diary.
Okay, so welcome to the Royal Rota then, your weekly roundup of royal news from ITV, which is being done from an outside location this week. I hope you can still hear us. In fact, there's a very, very colourful bus about to go past us. London and Winchester tour.
There's also the sound of...
Wave to the people.
Wave to the people. There's also the sound of a plane. This is very much on the flight path, Windsor, so you always get the noise of the plane.
Bus. Actually, we've got a satellite truck just parked just there, which is also making a bit of a noise as well. So above it all, we hope you can hear us. Let's talk about what happened today then. So basically the Queen asked for Charles and Camilla to stand in for her. Now, if you don't know about the traditional Easter service that's called Royal Maundy service, isn't it? The Queen has done it every single year since she became Queen in 1952, apart from 4 previous occasions when she's missed it. Twice because of having babies, twice because she was on tour. This is only the 5th time she's missed this service in 70 years.
The last time she missed a service was 1970.
She was in New Zealand, possibly?
Yes,
a tour somewhere.
So. And the last couple of years it hasn't happened because of COVID. So the last one that we saw was 2019. We were here. Do you remember she wore that yellow outfit? She was with Princess Eugenie.
Yes. Things have changed quite a lot in those couple of years. I don't think she necessarily would choose Princess Eugenie again, but obviously, yes, things have changed in the royal family. So what happens at Royal Maundy?
I don't know about that, actually.
Well,
I disagree.
You think she'd still choose her? Well, okay,
definitely.
She chose Prince Andrew to
definitely
go to Prince Philip's
because I
thing
think
with.
that
Yeah, of course.
I think for her, family is everything, and I think as you say, showing that support for Prince Andrew. So
indeed, and I stand corrected then. Today it was Charles and Camilla. So what happens is that they hand out a red purse and a white purse.
Yeah.
And there's 96 men and 96 women. They're all pensioners. They've all been recommended by their parishes for service they've given to the community or to their church. And inside the pouches is what's called the Maundy money. There's £5.50 in one of them. That's minted money because of the Jubilee. And the other's made up of 96 pennies, which is the Queen's age. When you think that when she started this whole process in 1952, there were 26 men and 26 women, and it's gone up by one every single year, and we're now at 96. That's a reminder, if one were needed, of quite how long the Queen has been on the throne.
And we both love this fact that the first official engagement the Queen ever carried out when she first became Queen was a Maundy service, wasn't it?
Yes, so she went to Westminster Abbey on the Thursday before Easter in 1952, and that was the very, very first engagement that she did as monarch, because her father had died on the 6th of February, 52, and she obviously came back for that. But that was the very first official engagement she did, and it kind of explained why it means so much to her, not just because it's Holy Week, because that is kind of where it all started.
Yeah, and as you say, I think because it's Holy Week as well, it obviously means a lot to her. But she was represented today by Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall, and it's the first time Prince Charles has represented the Queen at the Maundy service. We've seen him represent her lots of other things, the Cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday, for example. But
so another
first
first today.
Here, another first, yeah.
So by my math, if you hand out 90 maths,
you're a math.
By my math, if you hand out 96 to men and 96 to women, that's 192 offerings or alms, ALMS, that he had to give.
Probably not going to challenge you, my maths.
Yeah, 192. I mean, that's quite a lot. And that might explain why the Queen was unable to do it, given the length of time you have to be on your feet. And actually, I was actually in our little van over there just now. I was actually watching the video in fast forward, and actually Prince Charles going up a line and down a line and then back up a line. And actually, when you think 192 people, is actually quite a lot, and that would have been quite a challenge for the Queen.
And you also think about a services, there's often a lot of standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. So it's not just it's in her backyard getting here, it's all what you do when you're
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we had spoke to a couple of the 192 pensioners who were here. I mean, they all knew, obviously, of course, that the Queen wouldn't be here. They were, yes, disappointed, but still, as they told us, honoured. Has everyone listened to some of the words of those pensioners that we spoke to after the service here today? How did you feel when you found out last week that the Queen said that she wouldn't be able to come today?
First of all, I was sad about the Queen, very disappointed, but I understood the reason why, because poor love, she's as old as she is.
Honoured, really, to have been asked to do, to accept it.
It's something I could never have believed possible. I couldn't even have hoped for. To be in the presence of royalty here in Windsor is just overwhelming. I'm not usually speechless, but I'm really lost for words now.
We mentioned Easter Sunday, which our time, where we're sat here on this bench right now, is 3 days away. 4 days? 3 days. Anyway,
and we'll be away, but we'll tell you where in a minute.
But yes, I've just told you. Invictus Games. Let's talk about that in a minute, about Invictus Games in The Hague, who's going, who's not going. Easter Sunday then, not the Queen. We actually don't even think Charles and Camilla will be here, so we're kind of left. I say left, it sounds really cruel, but it means in terms of seniority, if the Queen's not here, Charles and Camilla aren't here, the Cambridges might be, but then again they're likely to be in Norfolk. Kind of lose the Wessexes, doesn't it?
It does, and you have to wonder, they might pop in and see the Queen while they're here.
Wessexes, Gloucesters, the Yorks. Some of the Yorks might go. Yeah. I mean, obviously, who lives in Harry and Meghan's old house? Is it Eugenie or Beatrice?
Eugenie. Yeah.
With baby August.
Baby August.
Yes.
Yes.
Might be there. So that's Easter Sunday, but just that we know that the Queen is not expected to attend. So it'd be more of a surprise if she did turn up. So let's talk about the weekends where.
Well, should we talk about the Royal London Hospital? Cool.
Okay, let's do that.
Given we're having a Queen section.
Let's talk about the Queen. Let's talk about. Actually, we mentioned it just now, didn't we, about the Royal London thing? And again, an event at a hospital where she was opening a new wing that's in her name. Ordinarily, she would go. I mean, no doubt about it. About a year ago, she would have gone.
Yeah, and there are no restrictions now.
No COVID
around
restrictions.
That. So, this does come down to the issues around mobility again,
Yes.
and her. But you know, she's finding new ways to be present and to be visible. And I think, you know, during the pandemic they did a lot of virtual calls, and they have found another way to communicate with people and to be visible. So, you know,
In terms of being seen and believed,
Yes.
then the video call enables her to do that. So this is a critical unit at the Royal London Hospital, built in 5 weeks, which the Queen was very impressed by. Wasn't she told there was a bit of Dunkirk spirit?
Yeah.
Thank goodness that still exists, she said. And she also spoke to some patients who had suffered from COVID, and that meant that she was able to talk about her own experience of COVID. You'll be aware that she contracted it in the middle of February, and this is what she said. It made a few newspaper front pages, didn't it, in the week,
yeah.
about what the Queen said about her own brush with COVID.
It does leave one very tired and exhausted, doesn't it? This horrible pandemic. This particular bit where you're standing, this was specially built, was it, for the
Yes.
for the
Yes.
pandemic?
So this unit was built in 5 weeks, Mum. Normally a project like this would take at least 5 months.
It's amazing, isn't it? What can be done when needs be.
And we mentioned as well about how quickly this thing was built, and the Queen in that video call, she was quite chatty in that video call, wasn't she? And she was quite impressed with how quickly it had been built.
She was very impressed, I thought very engaged, very interested, but obviously what everyone honed in on was this, the phrase about being tired and exhausted by this horrible pandemic. And I think sometimes people forget that there's another one of those flags on the front.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget.
Who live in Windsor?
Just because, you know, they're royalty, COVID and other things don't discriminate, and everyone has felt tired and exhausted by having COVID, the majority of people have anyway.
And you're going to with your 95,
it's quite
nearly
natural
96.
that she expressed that, and I think that makes her relatable.
Yes, and I think anyone who's of her age, actually, if you get through COVID with just being tired and exhausted, I say just, but that's a pretty remarkable achievement in itself. Have a listen, though, to some more of what the Queen said in that conversation she had with the doctors and nurses at the Royal London Hospital.
And of course, not being allowed to see your relatives was very hard, wasn't it?
It was against everything that we know about care for patients. We know that families are really important, and we were also separated from our family. So yes, it was very difficult.
It obviously was a very frightening experience to have COVID very badly, wasn't it?
Those patients in those beds, they were somebody's loved ones, away from home, away from their families, fighting a dreadful virus. As nurses, we made sure that they were not alone. We held their hands, we wiped their tears, and we provided comfort.
I felt that everyone came together, not just as colleagues, but like as a family.
I'm immensely proud of everything that this team achieved together.
The amount of bravery that both the patients and my colleagues showed throughout the entire pandemic was amazing, and the amount of kindness we were shown was awe-inspiring.
So on the day that video was released of the Queen talking to those doctors and patients at the Royal London Hospital, we also had some other royal news about the Queen's grandson, and we've kind of been pushing for this news for a while, and we managed to get a hold of Harry and Meghan's office to find out what exactly.
So we knew that Harry was going to the Invictus Games in The Hague. Of course he'd go, he's founding patron. It is one of, you know, the things that he is probably proudest of. But the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, is also going for the first few days of the Games.
So that was only confirmed as recently as Monday, given that the Games start on Easter Saturday. Therefore, that was a surprise to some. I mean, there had been some speculation in some newspapers that she would be going. But not the kids, we don't think. Not Archie and Lilibet.
Archie and Lilibet will stay home and not go. And Meghan is only there for the first few days of the Games.
So which obviously means that she's going to speak, or very likely to speak, at the opening ceremony on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we can be pretty sure that Harry will give a speech at the opening ceremony. He usually does. But, you know, It might be that
Meghan's going to be there. Yes.
Joins him on stage or does something separate.
So listen, I mean, let's talk about the Invictus Games firstly, and then we can maybe talk about why is it that Harry's able to go to Holland and not able to come to the UK on security grounds. But Invictus Games, we are massive fans of the Invictus Games, aren't we? And what they do for ex-service personnel, for veterans, for those still in the military, those who are both physically and mentally injured. We experienced it in Toronto, we experienced it in Sydney. There's been a couple of years delay, just like with Maundy service. So this is actually the Invictus Games in The Hague 2020. It's still called that, even though it's happening in 2022. And you know, we all know that the veterans love Harry's involvement. They will be overjoyed that he's there, that Meghan's there as well. But there will be people who ask, hold on a minute, why is he able to go to Holland but he isn't able to come to the UK?
Yeah, so he didn't.
Because he missed his.
He missed the service of Thanksgiving for the Duke of Edinburgh. We know he was incredibly close to his grandfather. He was incredibly close to his grandmother, the Queen, and we were told at the time he will try and come and see her as soon as possible. But he wasn't. Hold on a second.
There's a question. Do you think he's going to nip over the English Channel or get on the ferry from Dover to Calais?
Get on the ferry. I mean, it's the Queen's 96th next week, but he wasn't here for that. And there are, you know, we know that he has been. He's had the court case, hasn't he, with the Home Office over his security. Yeah. That is fact, we know that.
Well, there's this legal case which is still ongoing where Harry has claimed that he wants to pay for his own security when he's in the UK so he can have a higher level of security, because he claims that he was his security was compromised when he was last here, which was for his the unveiling of his mother's statue. He went to a charity event, wasn't it, the World Child Awards, yeah. And claims that his security was compromised. So he's in the middle of that legal battle with the Home Department of the UK government. And yet he's able to go to Holland, to the Netherlands.
So there's been speculation in some of the papers here and some of the papers over in the Netherlands that he is being given VVIP security while he is in Holland for the Games.
Surely he would have got that here. I mean, you know, as a member or an ex-member of the royal family with you know, very, very high profile, surely he would have still got that level of security, but he wasn't getting the sort of very top level of intelligence that he thought that he is entitled to.
Yeah, question mark. Well, maybe we can ask him while we're there.
Yes, okay. Prince Harry, if you want to do any interviews, then we'll be there, and so will our camera, so feel free to come and talk to us about it. There should be, whatever else, a great event. It goes on for a week.
Okay, so the opening ceremony is on Saturday 16th, and the closing ceremony is on Friday 22nd. Harry is there for the duration, but as you say, it is...
But as it's a grandmother's birthday on Thursday the 21st.
Yeah, he could.
Could nip over?
He could.
Could almost helicopter. Could he helicopter from that far? Probably not.
Oof,
no, a bit far, maybe. But still.
It is, you know, we've seen the Invictus Games, as you say, and it's an incredibly inspiring event. And
plenty of space to land a helicopter in there if he wants to. I mean, Barack Obama's done it, the Queen does it all the time, so I'm sure he could...
But I think it's, you know, whatever criticism Harry has come under, you know, in the last few years, the Invictus Games is undoubtedly a massive success story, and we have talked to, you know, countless people that have taken part and what it has meant to them, life-changing for many of them. So, you know, that should be celebrated.
Absolutely, 100%. And also there'll be a team from Ukraine there as well. One of whom, at least one of whom, I think I read a couple maybe, have actually been killed in the defence of Ukraine against the Russian attack. So, you know, and our thoughts, of course, are with all of those members of that particular team. We mentioned Prince Andrew a little while ago. Now, I was off last week, but you were telling me about a very interesting set of Instagram posts that went up on his ex-wife's Instagram account.
So Sarah Ferguson still has a functioning Instagram
noisy
account.
Now. Together with the noisy bus and the noisy planes and the satellite track.
She still has a functioning Instagram account. The Duke of York doesn't use social media anymore. And so this post popped up from Sarah Ferguson saying, I asked Andrew this morning for his reflections on the anniversary of his sailing from Portsmouth to the Falkland Islands 40 years ago.
Right.
And then this
so we're now talking about the Falklands War in 1982.
Yeah,
yes.
The 40-year anniversary. And then it goes into a sequence of quite lengthy posts from Prince Andrew. I think there were sort of 2 or 3.
Now, I see you had them in your phone, but actually these are screen shots in your phone.
Shots
yes, because what happened to the posts?
Well, the original post, the final original post was signed HRH, the Duke of York.
Hold on, it's just the HRH that he's not using anymore?
Correct,
Right,
yes.
okay.
So HRH Duke of York, that was then subbed...
no one actually tell him that he can't use HRH anymore?
Well, I think they might have done, because then HRH got subbed to the Duke of York.
Right, okay, which it still is, we should be clear.
Subsequently, the entire lot were wiped, including the initial post.
Okay.
All of them gone.
Right.
So I've got the screen grabs, but...
Okay, so what jumped out at you, other than the HRH, the Duke of York, other than the, you know, what jumped out at you at this these particular posts, given everything that's happened with Prince Andrew and his legal case in recent times?
Well, I think HRH, firstly, is, you know, he's not supposed... He agreed that he wouldn't use that anymore, so that first of all. But also, you know, in the last few weeks we've had several things now where, rather than sitting quietly in the background, we've had Prince Andrew sort of
being front and centre.
Being front and centre at the service of Thanksgiving for his father's service. That, you know, I don't think that was ever in question that he was going to go to that or should have been there. But he, you know, the questions came around him leading his mother. Then these posts. Yeah, it was extraordinary.
So what was she trying to sort of remind everyone about what a war hero he was in 2014?
Yeah, it talked about his experiences and what he learned and how he came back a changed man.
Yes.
So.
And do you think that was the purpose of it? But now everything's actually been deleted in its entirety?
Gone. Yeah. Gone.
Right. So, apart from in your phone, where these things...
lots of people's phone, so I wasn't the only one that screen grabbed all this.
Yeah.
So,
and was over how long did this go on for?
Like
only
a few hours.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think within the hour the HRH had gone, and then within a few hours the lot were down.
Someone else had obviously got on the phone and said, "Do you think it's a really good idea to be sort of putting up posts about your ex-husband at this particular time?"
Yes.
And from a legal point of view, we should be clear that Prince Andrew always vehemently denied all the allegations made against him, and he made an out-of-court settlement with his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, and admitted no liability in the course of doing so. Right then, so we've done Prince Andrew and his Instagram post from his ex-wife. Presumably because they're just down there as well. There's a lot happening in Windsor, isn't there? You've got the Queen up there, you've got Maundy's service happening over there.
You've got Eugenie over there, and then Andrew
and Fergie, presumably,
on
their Instagram.
On their Instagram.
Post.
It's
wow.
It does show though,
yeah.
you know, that there's been a lot of speculation that does Prince Andrew feel like there is a way back into public life for him?
I think he and Fergie think there is.
I think potentially they do.
I think
the
public opinion maybe have a slightly different view of these things. But
so the question still remains, and I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, will there be a role for Prince Andrew at the Platinum Jubilee?
Good question.
Will he be at the service of Thanksgiving for the Queen at St Paul's? Will he be at the
Derby?
Derby?
I think my view is that he will want to be at all those events. It's whether or not people from the palace, with an eye on public opinion, will be able to dissuade him or not.
Yeah, and it will come down to the Queen, as we saw for the Dukes.
Oh, and we know what the Queen thinks. Right, let's talk about Prince William and Kate. No, not Kate, forget Kate. Let's talk about Prince William. Prince William has done a podcast. I mean, surely not anywhere near as good as this one, but he does have some big names in this podcast, because it's Kate Blanchett, one of the, what is she, like an ambassador, or she's got a very, I forget her actual role, but within the Earthshot Prize, Kate Blanchett was a judge. I think she was a judge along with David Attenborough and others, wasn't she? So the actress or actor Kate Blanchett and Prince William have been chatting in a podcast.
Yeah, the Climate of Change podcast with Kate Blanchett and Danny Kennedy, and Prince William was a guest on their second episode. Which
was all about the Earthshot, essentially, wasn't it? And about how it's about the positivity of the Earthshot and how we can, how we shouldn't be pessimistic about the challenges that we face in terms of the climate and clean air and the oceans.
Stubborn optimist, I think, is what William describes himself as, and that's what he's always said about the Earthshot Prize. It's about sort of channeling optimism and positivity and finding solutions rather than being sort of all doom and gloom. He wants to do something positive and have an impact. And he talked about how he has been very influenced by his grandfather and father. We know they're champions of the environment, and he's inherited that from them.
It does sound like you're quite hopeful that maybe we can imagine our way and plan our way and work our way out of what seems to be a crisis.
To coin Christiana Figueres' phrase, a stubborn optimist, I think is sort of where I'm feeling quite like I'm at the moment.
Maybe that's what I am.
Yeah. She's given me a lot of hope that this can happen, and I believe it, and I'm seeing it with my own eyes. It's everyone doing their bit and helping and supporting. What we're trying to do is it's all of us in it together. I really do think it can be done in a much quicker time than we anticipate, because the solutions are out there. There is real solutions to these problems.
And you heard Prince William in that podcast was talking about his father and grandfather, and actually how he first got engaged. He said he was watching David Attenborough documentaries, but also like on his gap year, wasn't it, when he went to Africa, and how his own sort of interest in this area was piqued. But clearly when he's talking about his grandfather, and the royal family has just marked, actually, believe it or not, the first anniversary of his passing.
Yeah, the 9th of April 2021. I can't believe it's been a year since we were here for that.
Also how much has changed that year, not just his passing, but in terms of the Queen's mobility, in terms of what's happened with Prince Andrew. I mean, there's quite a lot of change in the royal family in the space of 12 months.
And to mark it, I mean, the royal family marked it privately, as you would expect, but they did post on social media, and there was the Patriarchs, an elegy, and that was from the Poet Laureate Simon Armitage, and it was something that he posted at the time of his, or sort of around the time, the days following his death.
The Patriarchs, an elegy. The weather in the window this morning is snow, unseasonal singular flakes, a slow winter's final shiver. On such an occasion, to presume to eulogise one man is to pipe up for a whole generation, that crew whose survival was always the stuff of minor miracle, who came ashore in orange crate coracles, fought ingenious wars, finagled triumphs at sea with flaming decoy boats and sidestepped torpedoes. Husbands to duty, they unrolled their plans across billiard tables and vehicle bonnets, regrouped at breakfast. What their secrets were was everyone's guess and nobody's business. Great-grandfathers from birth, in time they became both inner core and outer case in a family heirloom of nesting dolls.
So we hope you've been able to hear this podcast. We've been barely able to hear each other, but you know, actually in the times when we've been playing you some video clips, there's been cars going past, blaring out some music, a couple of interruptions, some people wanting to take photos, having absolutely no idea or any comprehension that we were filming here. I suppose we are on a park bench; they're entitled to be there. Just
people, you see the camera, and people are drawn to the camera and what's going on.
Literally walking in front of it almost. Anyway, we'll edit all those bits out, and we will be heading off to the Invictus Games, and we'll bring you a full roundup of everything that happened, what Harry said, what he didn't say, what Meghan said, didn't say, and all that next week, yes?
And we will see you next week.